taking a closer look at a growing crisis, one that's directly impacting the Indian Americans and Alaska Native community in the United States. We are talking about phenytoin, a synthetic opioid that has become a major cause of drug-related deaths. But the reason for this devastating impact go far beyond just a drug itself. Let's start with some alarming numbers. Back in 2022, American Indians and Alaska Native individuals recorded 65.2 drug deaths per 1 lakh people. And that's double the national average in the United States, which stands at 32.6 per 1 lakh people. In fact, in certain states like Minnesota and Wisconsin, the gap is even wider. Now let's just understand why these communities are so vulnerable. Well, experts say that this isn't just about genetics. It's about systematic issue, both historical and current. Policies like Public Law 83-280, which puts tribal criminal matters under states' jurisdiction, higher incarceration rate among native population, and lack of access to treatment play a very important role. Imagine trying to get help for addiction, but finding that health services are underfunded or simply unavailable. That's reality for many native communities. Let me give you an example. Access to methadone, a key treatment for opioid addiction, is much lower for American Indians and Alaska Native people as compared to other groups. But the challenges don't stop there. Economic instability, poverty, and housing issues make it even harder for the communities to recover. And hold on, there's a cultural aspect too. Substance abuse and mental health treatments often fail to connect with native cultures, missing out a key ingredient for healing: cultural identity. Now let's flip the lens to India. While phenytoin may not be a rampant, we have our own struggles with substance abuse in communities that face marginalization. Think about how tribes in India deal with similar issues: limited access to healthcare, cultural disconnects in government programs, and systematic negligence. Don't this remind us how important it is to tailor solutions for each unique community? Well, coming back to the US, then there some native nations are leading the way. They are integrating cultural practices into addiction recovery programs, and it's showing promises. For example, incorporating spiritual practices, traditional ceremonies, and community support that has helped bring down the risk of substance abuse and mental health crisis. In India, tribal communities often benefit when their cultural heritage is respected in health and welfare programs. It is a lesson that we can learn from. Now back in US, experts are calling for a big change. First, they are pushing for better data collection because without numbers, it's hard to build a targeted solution. They're also asking for more funding to help native nations develop their own health programs customized to their people's needs. Healthcare access is another big focus. Regulatory reforms could actually make it easier for native community to access high-quality care for substance use disorders. And finally, the better collaboration between tribal, state, and federal government is much needed just to tackle the root cause: poverty, education gap, and systematic neglect. But, we can also do something. We can learn from this. Whether it's the United States or India, marginalized communities face unique challenges. Their voices must be heard and their culture must be respected is a solution. It's not about fixing the problem. It's about empowering community to take charge for their future. What are your thoughts on this crisis? Could India adapt similar cultural rooted approach to address substance issue in tribal areas? Do let us know in the comment section below and follow TimesXP for more such updates. In a shocking and terrifying turn of events, a well-known businessman of Indian origin in South Africa was kidnapped by none other than his own wife. In what seems like a desperate plot to get a huge ransom, the businessman Ashraf Kadir, who is also known as Bamboo Catex, after his family business was taken hostage near his workplace in Pretoria, South Africa, along with his wife Fatima Ismail. Now this happened on Sunday, and the whole situation left the Indian community in South Africa stunned. Fatima, who was thought to be a very loving wife, allegedly played a central role in planning and carrying out the kidnapping of her own husband. The authorities quickly got to work, and by Monday, just a day later, Ashraf was rescued unharmed, and all thanks to the effort of a specialized police team. The police didn't handle this case alone. They worked very closely with the law enforcement agencies, private investigators, and even anti-kidnapping unit, a team specifically trained for a situation like this one. Their hard work and coordination led them to a house in a neighborhood called Mamelodi, where they found Fatima hanging out with three other people. These three individuals, along with Fatima, were arrested right away, and they now face serious charges, including kidnapping, demanding a ransom, and hijacking. Now, this trend is kind of growing. This incident has sent shockwaves through South Africa's Indian diaspora, which is approximately 1.4 million strong and has deep historical roots in the country. Over the past few years, kidnapping targeting Indian origin business owners and their families has become an alarming frequent. It's no longer uncommon for these individuals to be targeted for ransom demands, leading to a widespread fear and concern. The crime was actually dangerous from the very start. The suspects didn't just take Ashraf, they also hijacked his car by ramping into it. They demanded a ransom, though the exact number wasn't revealed yet. During their investigation, the police found firearms, mobile phones, and the vehicle that was used in the abduction. And also, a fifth suspect whose bank account received funds from Ashraf's account has also been arrested, suggesting that this plot may have involved more individuals than initially thought. Now, for Ashraf, this has been very heartbreaking to discover that the person he trusted the most, his own wife, was allegedly at the center of such shocking plot. The incident is a stark reminder of how dangerous life can be when criminal networks target individuals for financial gain. It's also a wake-up call for Indian community in South Africa to remain vigilant and for authorities to take even stronger action to protect vulnerable groups. With over 1 million Indians calling South Africa home, incidents like this demand urgent attention. It's a Hello and welcome to But and Triangle Canada, the Hello and welcome to TimesXP. We are taking a closer look at a growing crisis, one that's directly impacting the Indian Americans and Alaska Native community in the United States. We are talking about phenytoin, a synthetic opioid that has become a major cause. A look at a growing crisis, one that's directly impacting the Indian Americans and Alaska Native community in the United States. We are talking about phenytoin, a synthetic opioid that has become a major cause of drug-related deaths. But the reason for this devastating impact go far beyond just a drug itself. Let's start with some alarming numbers. Back in 2022, American Indians and Alaska Native individuals recorded 65.2 drug deaths per 1 lakh people. And that's double the national average in the United States, which stands at 32.6 per 1 lakh people. In fact, in certain states like Minnesota and Wisconsin, the gap is even wider. Now, let's just understand why these communities are so vulnerable. Well, experts say that this isn't just about genetics. It's about systematic issue, both historical and current. Policies like Public Law 83-280, which puts tribal criminal matters under states' jurisdiction, higher incarceration rate among native population, and lack of access to treatment play a very important role. Imagine trying to get help for addiction, but finding that health services are underfunded or simply unavailable. That's reality for many native communities. Let me give you an example. Access to methadone, a key treatment for opioid addiction, is much lower for American Indians and Alaska Native people as compared to other groups. But the challenges don't stop there. Economic instability, poverty, and housing issue make it even harder for the communities to recover. And hold on, there's a cultural aspect too. Substance abuse and mental health treatments often fail to connect with native cultures, missing out a key ingredient for healing: cultural identity. Now let's flip the lens to India. While phenytoin may not be a rampant, we have our own struggles with substance abuse in communities that face marginalization. Think about how tribes in India deal with similar issues: limited access to healthcare, cultural disconnects in government programs, and systematic negligence. Don't this remind us how important it is to tailor solutions for each unique community? Well, coming back to the US, then there some native nations are leading the way. They are integrating cultural practices into addiction recovery programs, and it's showing promises. For example, incorporating spiritual practices, traditional ceremonies, and community support that has helped bring down the risk of substance abuse and mental health crisis. In India, tribal communities often benefit when their cultural heritage is respected in health and welfare programs. It is a lesson that we can learn from. Now back in US, experts are calling for a big change. First, they are pushing for better data collection because without numbers, it's hard to build a targeted solution. They're also asking for more funding to help native nations develop their own health programs customized to their people's needs. Healthcare access is another big focus. Regulatory reforms could actually make it easier for native community to access high-quality care for substance use disorders. And finally, the better collaboration between tribal, state, and federal government is much needed just to tackle the root cause: poverty, education gap, and systematic neglect. But, we can also do something. We can learn from this. Whether it's the United States or India, marginalized communities face unique challenges. Their voices must be heard and their culture must be respected is a solution. It's not about fixing the problem. It's about empowering community to take charge for their future. What are your thoughts on this crisis? Could India adapt similar cultural rooted approach to address substance issue in tribal areas? Do let us know in the comment section below and follow TimesXP for more such updates. In a shocking and terrifying turn of events, a well-known businessman of Indian origin in South Africa was kidnapped by none other than his own wife. In what seems like a desperate plot to get a huge ransom, the businessman Ashraf Kadir, who is also known as Bamboo Catex, after his family business was taken hostage near his workplace in Pretoria, South Africa, along with his wife Fatima Ismail. Now this happened on Sunday, and the whole situation left the Indian community in South Africa stunned. Fatima, who was thought to be a very loving wife, allegedly played a central role in planning and carrying out the kidnapping of her own husband. The authorities quickly got to work, and by Monday, just a day later, Ashraf was rescued unharmed, and all thanks to the effort of a specialized police team. The police didn't handle this case alone. They worked very closely with the law enforcement agencies, private investigators, and even anti-kidnapping unit, a team specifically trained for situations like this one. Their hard work and coordination led them to a house in a neighborhood called Mamelodi, where they found Fatima hanging out with 3 other people. These 3 individuals, along with Fatima, were arrested right away, and they now face serious charges, including kidnapping, demanding a ransom, and hijacking. Now, this trend is kind of growing. This incident has sent shockwaves through South Africa's Indian diaspora, which is approximately 1.4 million strong and has deep historical roots in the country. Over the past few years, kidnapping targeting Indian origin business owners and their families has become an alarming frequent. It's no longer uncommon for these individuals to be targeted for ransom demands, leading to a widespread fear and concern. The crime was actually dangerous from the very start. The suspects didn't just take Ashraf, they also hijacked his car by ramping into it. They demanded a ransom, though the exact number wasn't revealed yet. During their investigation, the police found firearms, mobile phones, and the vehicle that was used in the abduction. And also, a fifth suspect whose bank account received funds from Ashraf's account has also been arrested, suggesting that this plot may have involved more individuals than initially thought. Now, for Ashraf, this has been very heartbreaking to discover that the person he trusted the most, his own wife, was allegedly at the center of such shocking plot. The incident is a stark reminder of how dangerous life can be when criminal networks target individuals for financial gain. It's also a wake-up call for Indian community in South Africa to remain vigilant and for authorities to take even stronger action to protect vulnerable groups. With over 1 million Indians calling South Africa home, incidents like this demand urgent attention. It's essential for the government, the community leaders, and the Indian embassy to work together to ensure safety, build trust, and prevent future tragedies. For many Indians, Dubai has always been a dream destination, whether it's for family holidays, a luxurious shopping spree, or big career move. Dubai attracts millions of Indians every single year. The country has a massive Indian community, and visiting Dubai has always felt very easy and straightforward. But you know what? Lately, something strange is happening. More and more Indians are seeing their visa application rejected. The travel agents across India are shocked by the sudden rise in visa rejections by Dubai. Earlier, 99% of the applications used to get approved, but now the rejection rate is alarming high. Even when people submit all the required documents and follow all the rules, their visa are still being turned down. Let me tell you, for example, a family group of 35 people planned a grand holiday to Dubai. Tickets were booked, hotels were reserved, and everybody was very excited. But just before their trip, one family member's visa was rejected. It was a disaster, right? The entire trip had been cancelled, resulting in significant financial loss as well. You know what? One major reason in the surge of rejections is that visa process has become much stricter. Earlier, it was quite simple. Submit your passport, basic documents, and a photograph. But now the requirements are far more detailed. For tourists staying in hotels, proof of hotel booking and return flight tickets must be provided. For those planning to stay with relatives, the documentation is even more complicated. It includes the host Emirates ID, their rental agreement, residence visa copy, and full contact list. Even a small mistake in these documents can result in rejection, and many people are unaware how strict the rules have become. The financial impact of visa rejection is actually severe. Most people book their flights and hotel before applying for a visa. When their visa gets rejected, all the money is lost. Airlines don't always provide a refund, and many hotels have non-refundable policy. Imagine saving for months for a Dubai trip, booking everything, sharing the excited news with the family and friends, only to have dreams shattered because of visa rejection. It's both heartbreaking and expensive. This situation has made Indians very cautious about planning to a trip to Dubai. In fact, many are rethinking their travel plans because the risk feels too high. Tourists are particularly upset because Dubai has always been viewed as a friendly and welcoming destination. The frequent rejection has created a sense of unease, and some people wonder if these strict rules are an effort to manage the large number of visitors or if there is another underlying reason. If you're planning a trip to Dubai, there is a way to reduce the chances of rejection. It's crucial to double-check your documents to ensure that everything is accurate and complete, as even a small error can cause problems. For those staying with relatives, all necessary documents, including the Emirates ID, rental agreement, and residence visit of the host, should be ready. Also, booking refundable tickets and hotels can save you from losing money if your visa is denied. Additionally, working with experienced travel agents can help, as they are familiar with the latest rules and can guide you properly. Now, for Indians, Dubai is not just another travel destination. It represents dreams, opportunity, and cultural connection. This sudden wave of visa rejection feels like a barrier that's hard to understand. While these strict rules might aim to improve organization, they are causing stress and financial loss for Indian travelers. Hopefully, things will improve soon and Indians once again enjoy their trip to Dubai without worrying about their visa issue. Until then, careful preparation and attention to the documentation are essential for a smooth travel experience. This is a story that has upset many in the Indian community that are living in Britain. King Charles III has taken back his prestigious honor from two well-known Indian origin personalities back in the US. Millionaire businessman Rami Ranger and social activist Anil Bhanot. The reason? Speaking up on issues that are very close to their heart. These actions have sparked discussion about the fairness, freedom of expression, and the challenges that are faced by Indians who are living abroad. Rami Ranger was awarded the CBE, that is Commander of the Order of the British Empire, for his contribution to business and community service. Meanwhile, Anil Bhanot, an accountant and a key figure in the Hindu Council UK, received the OBE, Officer of the Order of the British Empire, for his work in promoting community harmony. These honors are highly prestigious in Britain, given to individuals for their outstanding achievement or contribution to the society. However, recently, both Rami and Anil have been asked to return their awards, causing a significant stir within the Indian diaspora. Well, the reason behind this decision are tied to the public statement and the action. Rami Ranger, a strong supporter of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, expressed his views that upset some groups in the UK. Critics accuse him of being divisive, and these accusations were brought to the attention of a special committee that is responsible for reviewing cases where individuals may have tarnished the reputation of the British award system. Similarly, Anil Bhanot speak out in the defense of Hindus during the 2021 violence in Bangladesh, where temples were destroyed. Feeling that the UK media largely ignored these incidents, he raised his voice to bring attention to the issue. However, some people accuse him of being Islamophobic for highlighting the violence, which led to scrutiny of his statement. Now, in the UK, the Confiscation Committee evaluates whether the individual with honor has acted in the manner that brings dishonor to the awards. In January, the committee contacted Anil Bhanot to hear his side of the story. He explained that his comments were intended to protect Hindus in Bangladesh and not to target any committee. Despite his effort to clarify his stance, the committee was not convinced enough. After reviewing his case, the committee submitted its recommendation to King Charles III, and on December 6, it was officially announced that both Rami Raja and Anil Bhanot would lose their honors. Now, this particular decision has deeply hurt both Rami and Anil, who have strongly criticized the move. Rami Raja believes that this is an attack on his right to express his opinions freely. Similarly, Anil Bhanot feels that freedom of speech is no longer respected in England. He expressed his disappointment, stating that he only sought to highlight the violence against Hindus in Bangladesh, which has been largely ignored. Anil described the decision as unfair and said that it had led him felt deeply upset. Now, this incident has raised significant concern within the Indian community in the UK, questioning whether Indians can freely express their views without facing backlash. Many believe that these actions are unfair. For the broader Indian diaspora, this situation served as a reminder of the delicate balance between maintaining cultural identity and exercising freedom of expression in a foreign land. The UK honor system is designed to recognize exceptional contribution, but cases like this highlights how easily these accolades can be revoked when opinions do not align with certain groups. For Indians abroad, this is a stark example of the challenges that are you facing in navigating cultural and societal dynamics in the foreign country. While the story may discourage some, it also emphasized the importance of standing firm on one's values and beliefs even in challenging circumstances. This incident underscores the need of a broader discussion about fairness, freedom of speech, and the treatment of diverse community in the UK. Let's hope that this episode leads to greater understanding and more equitable treatment for all the individuals and community. Thousands of Indians who have moved to the US in search of a better life are now facing a huge problem. Many of them are stuck in long wait for their asylum case to be heard, and some of them are even in the detention center with a constant fear of being deported back to India. These are the people who came to the US hoping for safety and better opportunity, but now they are caught in a tough situation because of a delay in legal process. If we talk about numbers, then back in 2023, about 41,000 Indians applied for asylum in the US, hoping for a chance to stay legally. But instead of quick resolution, they are being forced to wait years for their cases to be heard. Some asylum seekers have had their hearing set as far as 2027, which means that they have to wait for years, unsure of what will happen to them. For example, a man in Gujarat was given alien status in Atlanta earlier this year, found out that his hearing is scheduled for March 2027. It is an incredibly long period and it leaves many people in very uncertain and stressful situation. While they wait for their hearing, many of these asylum seekers are staying in the US without legal permission, which means that they are constantly at risk of being arrested and deported back to India. Take a case of a couple from Gujarat who crossed the US-Canada border illegally with their child in June. They were caught and now they are in the detention camp. Their asylum case is still pending and their hearing isn't scheduled until August 2026. Let me tell you, it's a tough and scary position to be in, specifically for families who are hoping for a fresh start in the country. The situation has also become more complicated due to the human smuggling network. Some of the groups are advising migrants to avoid saying that they are facing political prosecution in India because doing so may affect more scrutiny and make it harder to get asylum. They have even been reported of some migrants from Gujarat falsely claiming that they are being prosecuted in India to improve their chances of being granted asylum. Now, these false claims only make the process harder for people who are genuinely seeking protection. The issue has become a big topic in India and it was even discussed in the Rajya Sabha. The Indian government has criticized asylum seekers, accusing them of disrespecting the country for personal gain. While this adds another level to complexity to the situation, it doesn't change the fact that the lives of many Indians are at risk as they wait for their asylum cases to be heard. The entire process is stressful for undocumented Indians in the US as they face long delays, possible deportation, and the uncertain future. Advocacy groups are urging people to understand the risk before making any decision to migrate, warning them about the complexity of US immigration system. For those who are already in the US, there is a little clarity or security, and they often find themselves in difficult and unpredictable circumstances. The dream of a better life in America is turning into a nightmare for many as they navigate an immigration system that leaves them into limbo for years. Imagine looking for a job to improve your life, only to end up trapped in a dangerous camp far from your home. Now, this is exactly what happened to several young Indian men who were lured abroad with false promises of great jobs. Thankfully, the mastermind behind this horrifying racket, Kamran Haider alias Saidi, has been caught after an intense 2,500-kilometer chase across India by the New Delhi police. But first, who is Kamran Haider alias Zaidi? Zaidi is a man who preyed on young Indians who were looking for jobs. He and his team promised jobs in foreign lands like Thailand and Laos. But it all was a big lie. Instead of good jobs, these men were trafficked to the Golden Triangle region in Southeast Asia, where the border of Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar meet. Instead of good jobs, these men were trafficked to the Golden Triangle region in Southeast Asia, where the border of Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar meet. Once there, Zaidi's victims were forced to work in a Chinese-run fake call center. These call centers scammed people online, including Indians, Europeans, and Americans. Worst, the victims' passports were taken away, leaving them stranded and hopeless in a foreign land. But let me tell you, the entire scam came to the light when a man named Naresh Lakhwat filed a police complaint in Delhi on May 27th. Naresh had been looking for a job and came across a consultancy firm called Ali International Services. The company offered him job in Thailand and Laos and he thought his dream was coming true. But once Naresh reached Thailand, his passport was snatched. He was forced to work for a Chinese company involving in scamming people online. Naresh realized that he wasn't alone. There were many young Indians who were trapped like him. The traffickers didn't just stop there by forcing people to work into the cybercrime. Those who tried to escape were threatened and even blackmailed. The traffickers used cryptocurrency to extort money from these desperate victims. Now, Naresh's complaint was just the beginning. The case was handed over to India's National Investigation Agency, NIA, which began uncovering the dark and complex network behind the scam. But here's a big question. How Zaidi was caught? Well, Zaidi was a slippery criminal, constantly changing location to avoid being caught. The Delhi police pursued him across Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. But finally, after days of chasing and tracking his movement, they caught him near Nampally railway station in Hyderabad. Now, this was no ordinary arrest. The police had to travel 2,500 kilometers without rest to catch him. And also, Zaidi had a 2 lakh rupees reward on his head announced by the NIA. When the investigation happened, it revealed that Zaidi was the leader of the group that included people like Manzoor Alam alias Guddu, Sahil, Ashish alias Akhil and Pawan Yadav alias Afzal. Together, they targeted vulnerable young men in India who were looking for better opportunity abroad. The victims were trafficked to the Golden Triangle and forced to scam people online. They were treated terribly with no way to contact their families or to escape. In some cases, some victims even faced life-threatening situations if they didn't cooperate with the traffickers. Now, this particular story is a warning for many people who are looking for jobs abroad. Scammers like Zaidi use fake job consultancies just to trap innocent people. They make big promises, but in reality, they are running dangerous operations that exploit innocent people. Now, if you are considering a job overseas, always verify the agency and its credibility. Talk to somebody who has used their services before and never hand over your passport to anybody without thorough checks. Now, in this particular case, with Zaidi in custody, the police and NIA are working to dismantle this entire network. The goal is to ensure that no other Indian falls into this sort of crime with such horrific scam. This case also highlights the need for stronger laws and better awareness to protect job seekers from falling into the traps of traffickers. Let's hope that justice is being served and that the victim find their way back home safely. An Indian origin entrepreneur is at the center of a social media storm after his controversial advice urging people in their 30s to have kids. While some praised his perspective, others accused him of imposing his beliefs on the deeply personal choice. So, what exactly happened and why has it sparked such intense reaction? Let's dive in. Well, the controversy began when a prominent Indian origin tech founder known for his successful ventures and outspoken nature shared a post encouraging people in their 30s to prioritize having kids. He argued that starting a family early allows individuals to build deeper relationship with their children and enjoy a more fulfilling personal life in later years. His post struck a nerve. While some appreciated the advice, calling it a practical perspective rooted in family values, many others disagree. Critics, specifically millennials and Gen Zs, argued that such advice does not account for modern realities. Rising cost of living, career pressure, mental health consideration, and evolving social norms make the decision to have children far more complex than it might have been in previous generations. Social media erupted with responses, many emphasizing that family planning is deeply personal and varies from everyone. Let people choose their own path, one user wrote, highlighting the importance of individual freedom and circumstances. Another one pointed out how advice like this can unintentionally pressurize people, specifically women, who often face societal pressure about balancing career and motherhood. They argued that such comments can come across as tone deaf, ignoring challenges like infertility, financial strain, and decision to remain child-free. In Indian culture, families have always held a central place. Yet, as younger generation adopt global mindsets, traditional expectations about marriage and children are evolving. Many young Indians, specifically those living abroad, are choosing to delay or even opt out of parenthood entirely. This debate highlights a broader generational shift, one where personal choice is increasingly valued over societal norms. For many Indians, the founder's advice felt like a throwback to older tradition, clashing with their pursuit of independence and self-defined success. Now, this incident has started a debate about the balance between traditional values and modern realities. It serves as a reminder that life decisions like starting a family are deeply personal and should be free from external judgments. In a significant development, former US President Donald Trump has made a bold move by nominating Indian origin Harmeet Dhillon as the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Now, this decision has stirred discussions not only in the US but also among the Indian community worldwide. So, who is Harmeet Dhillon and why is this nomination such a big deal? Let's break it down. Harmeet Kaur Dhillon is no stranger to the spotlight. A Sikh American lawyer, she has been a vocal advocate for consecutive cause and has consistently stood up in America's legal and political arenas. Born in Chandigarh, India, her journey is full of surprises. After immigrating to the US with her family, Dhillon pursued her passion for law at Dartmouth College and the University of Virginia. Over the years, she built a reputation as a fierce legislator and a defender of free speech, religious liberty, and other constitutional rights. Her leadership within the Republican Party, including serving as the Republican National Committee's vice chair, has further solidified her as a powerhouse in consecutive circle. For the Indian diaspora, this appointment is more than just another headline. It's a moment of pride. Harmeet's journey reflects the essence of Indian immigration story, rising to prominence through hard work, determination, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. Her appointment also underscores the growing influence of Indian Americans in the US politics, a trend that has been gaining momentum over the past decades. However, it's not without its controversies. Dhillon's consecutive stance and her close alignment with Trump has sparked debates. While some view her as a champion of civil rights and defender of traditional value, others criticize her position on sensitive issues like affirmative action and voting rights. Regardless of different opinions, Harmeet Dhillon's nomination is undeniably a milestone. For Indians worldwide, it's a reminder of how far the community has come on global stage. As she prepares to take on this challenging role, all eyes will be on her to see how she shapes America's civil rights policies. What are your thoughts to Harmeet Dhillon's nomination? Do you see this as a win for representation or a topic of deeper debate? Let's talk about what's happening in Syria, where major changes are unfolding. The country is facing a huge political crisis. President Bashar al-Assad, who ruled for over 20 years, has been forced to leave his position after rebels took control of key cities like Damascus and Homs. Even in these uncertain times, the Indian embassy in Damascus is staying open and doing its best to ensure the safety of Indians that are living in Syria. So, here's the full story. For years, things seemed stable in Syria under President Assad's rule. But recently, rebel groups began growing power. They took control of major cities like Homs and Aleppo, and eventually they entered Damascus, the capital. Assad realized that he lost control and fled to an unknown location. Meanwhile, the rebel then declared that Damascus was free from his rule, signaling a huge shift in the country. Now, this crisis has left many Indians in Syria concerned about their safety, and some individuals live there for work or businesses. And during such chaos, their well-being becomes very important to India. Thankfully, the Indian embassy in Damascus is still operational. While many other countries might shut their embassies in such situation, India has kept its door open. The embassy staff is in regular contact with Indian nationals, ensuring that they are safe and offering any help that they need. To assist Indians in Syria, the embassy has provided an emergency helpline number and a WhatsApp contact too. They have also shared an email address for updates and assistance. The embassy has advised all the Indians in Syria to leave the country if possible. If flights are available, they should try to book one and leave as soon as they can. For those who must stay, the embassy recommends being extremely cautious, avoiding crowded area, and staying in touch with them all the time. The situation in Syria is very, very tense. Rebel groups are not only trying to take over the city, but also key places like a military prison, which has a dark history. On social media, they are calling for Syrians who left the country to return, claiming that Syria is now free. However, the reality on ground is that the civil war, which had been quiet for years now, has erupted again. Cities like Homs and Dara are under rebel control, and the streets of Damascus are filled with uncertainty. Back in India, the government has issued a strict travel advisory. They have urged all Indians to avoid traveling to Syria until the situation improves. For those who are already in the country, the government emphasized the need to be very careful and stay connected with the embassy for any further update or any sort of help. The crisis shows how committed India is to protecting its people, no matter where they are. The effort of the embassy reminds us that even in the most challenging time, Indians abroad can count on their country for support. While the situation in Syria remains unstable, the Indian embassy is a beacon of hope for those who need it the most. This isn't just a story about politics or war. It's about ensuring that no Indian feel abandoned, no matter how far the home is. In recent years, the United States has been a dream destination for thousands of Indian students pursuing higher education. However, 2024 has brought a surprising shift in this trend. The number of F1 student visa granted to Indian students in the first 9 months of 2024 has dropped significantly, and that too by 38% as compared to the same period back in 2023. This decline marks a sharp contrast to the steady growth that is seen in previous years. Let me tell you the numbers. So, the number revealed a stark decline in visa approval. Back in 2021, 65,235 F1 visas were issued to Indian students. Now this figure rose to 93,000 plus back in 2022 and reached a new high of 1 lakh plus in 2023, reflecting strong enthusiasm for US education. However, now in 2024, it has seen only 64,000 plus visas issued, bringing the number back to level that is last seen in 2021. Several factors have contributed to this unexpected drop in visa approvals. First is administrative delays and processing bottlenecks have slowed down visa application, causing many students to miss critical deadlines. Additionally, the rising costs of US education, driven by increased tuition fee and living expenses, has made studying in the US a significant financial challenge for Indian families. After these two problems, the strengthening of the US dollar has further elevated the cost burden for Indian students. Meanwhile, the global competition has intensified, with countries like Canada, the UK and Australia offering friendlier immigration policy and more affordable education option, making them very attractive alternate to the US. Now, this decline in F1 visa has far-reaching implications. For the US university, Indian students represent a crucial source of revenue and cultural diversity on campuses. For US universities, Indian students represent a crucial source of revenue and cultural diversity on campuses. A drop in enrollment could hurt the financial stability and global appeal of many institutions. Now, for Indian students, the shift highlights a change in perspective, with many now exploring other countries for higher education. Furthermore, the reduction in student number could impact the US-India relation, as educational ties are very important component of the bilateral relationship between the both countries. To address these challenges, both India and the US need to take proactive measures. Clearer visa policy and guidelines are actually essential to reduce confusion and provide assurance to the applicants. US universities might also improve their support system to create a more welcoming environment for international students. Streamlining visa process and eliminating administrative inefficiency could be very essential to ensure timely approval. Now, the decline in F1 visa underscores the growing challenges that are faced by Indian students in accessing education abroad. If these issues are not addressed, the US risks losing its status as top destination for Indian students. Meanwhile, the students and their families must adapt to changing landscape, balancing aspiration with financial realities and exploring new opportunities in other parts of the world as well. Donald Trump, soon to take the office as the President of the United States, has announced plans that could change how people come to America, specifically those entering legally. For Indians who usually migrate to the US following the legal process, this might be a positive development. However, Trump's statement has also raised concern about his strict stance on illegal immigration. In an interview, Trump said that he is determined to deport illegal immigrants. He emphasized the need for rules and laws to ensure fairness for those who patiently wait to come to the US legally. According to him, it's unfair to people who follow the proper procedure to be overshadowed by those who enter the country illegally. He further explained his vision. Legal immigrants must pass certain requirements, such as understanding what the Statue of Liberty represents or learning about American history and value. He also insisted that new immigrants should genuinely love the US. For Indians who often excel in academics and adapt well to new environment, this could be an opportunity to benefit from Trump's plan to ease the legal immigration. Trump expressed strong opinion about dealing with criminals who are in the US illegally. He cited alarming statistics, claiming that many convicted murderers and gang members, including those from violent gangs like MS-13, are currently in the country. He said that these individuals pose a danger to ordinary people and must be deported immediately. He further explained that the first policy would be to remove criminals. He also mentioned that people released from mental institutions and placed into the US, saying that they should be sent back to their home country. Trump called this step essential for the safety of American families. After all this, when asked if it's actually realistic to deport all the illegal immigrants, Trump said, "You have no choice." He argued that illegal immigrants cost the country a lot of money and resources. He plans to start with convicting criminals and then review how to address those undocumented immigrants. Now, for Indians in the US, this is a matter of concern for those who may have been overstayed their visa or are undocumented. Trump's policy could mean stricter actions against anybody without proper documentation. Dreamers refer to young immigrants that are brought to US illegally as children. Many of them grew up in America and they don't even speak the language of their home countries. Trump acknowledged that this particular group needs special attention. He mentions that working with Democrats to create a plan for dreamers, as they are now middle-aged in many cases, have become an integral part of American society. Some are even good in their jobs and contributing significantly in the US economy. Although Trump admitted that this issue is actually complicated, he assured that he would try to find a fair solution. However, he blamed the Democrats for making it very hard to pass meaningful reforms. If we are talking about Indians specifically, then Trump's policies are mixed of hope and cautious. On one hand, making legal immigration easier could actually benefit the professional, student and families that are looking to settle in the US. But on the other hand, this hard stance on illegal immigration could lead to stricter scrutiny for anyone who's entering in the country illegally. Indians who follow the legal process might find it easier to migrate, as Trump emphasized fairness for those waiting in the line. However, focus on criminal deportation and stricter rules might create challenges for undocumented migrants. But also there is a message for aspiring immigrants. Trump's plan sends a clear message: follow the rule, respect the country, and contribute positively. For Indians known for their discipline and dedication, this could open up new pathways to American dream. At the very same time, it's essential to stay updated on changes in immigration policy and ensure all documentation is in order. As Trump prepares to step into the White House, these policies are set to shape the future of immigration in the US, impacting millions, including a significant number of Indians. Only time will tell how these changes would unfold and what they would mean for the global community. Donald Trump, who is now 78 years old, is back in the spotlight. He's set to take the office as the United States president again, and he has already started making bold statements. Let me tell you what he exactly said. So during an interview, Trump suggested something shocking. If the US is going to keep giving financial help to Canada and Mexico, then maybe they should just become a part of America. Yes, you heard it right. So if I give you a briefer, then in a Sunday TV interview, Trump claimed that the US is giving Canada and Mexico a lot of financial support, or also we can call it subsidies. He said, we are giving Canada over $100 billion a year and Mexico nearly $300 billion. Why should we do this for free? If we are going to help them so much, they might as well become the state of the US. Now, Trump believes that the US spends too much money on other countries without getting enough in return. He feels America is doing all the hard work while Canada and Mexico enjoy the benefits. Now, this seems that he is specifically angry about flow of illegal immigrants coming into the US through Mexico and even Canada now. But you know what? Trump has an idea to fix this. Impose tariff. Tariffs are taxes on goods coming from other countries. Now, for example, if Mexico or Canada want to sell their products in the US, Trump wants to charge them extra money. He believes that this will solve two problems. First one, stop illegal immigration, making these countries pay their fair share. Secondly, is Trump's big idea, and that is tariff. Till now, we know that Trump loves tariff. He calls them a powerful tool. He says that they are not just about money, they can be used to solve other problems too, like stopping wars. According to Trump, tariff won't hurt Americans. In fact, he says that they will help the US economy and make money for the country. Now, he explained it like this. If Canada or Mexico don't stop people from crossing into the US illegally, they'll charge them a 25% tariff. That will make them think twice before letting immigrants pass through their country. But on the other hand, some business leaders say that tariff might make things more expensive for Americans because companies would pass the extra cost to the customers. And this makes sense. But Trump does not agree. He thinks that tariff actually makes the US richer and stronger. He also shares a story about a conversation with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Trump said, I called Justin and within minutes he flew to meet me at Mar-a-Lago. He had dinner and told him, if you don't fix this immigration problem, I will impose tariff on Canada. And the same thing happened with Mexican president as well. Trump warned him too, if illegal immigrants keep coming through Mexico into the US, I'll put tariff on your good. But why does Trump want to do this? That's the bigger question. Well, Trump says that he wants fairness. He thinks that the US has been too kind to other countries, giving them financial support without demanding enough in return. He believes that tariffs are the only solution. By charging other countries, he says America can get its money back and fix other problems at the very same time. But if we see it from the other perspective, could Canada and Mexico really become US states? Of course, this idea of making Canada and Mexico part of US is a big stretch. But Trump used it to make a point. If these countries want help from US, they should give something in return. Well, as Trump prepares to take the office, people are wondering how serious he can be about these ideas. Will he actually impose high tariff? Will Canada and Mexico take action to stop illegal immigration? Well, one thing is certainly sure. Trump's bold claims have everybody talking. For now, it's a waiting game to see what he does next. But one thing is clear. Trump is ready to shake things up, and his plan for Canada and Mexico are just the beginning. It's almost 2025 and fear gears the lives of undocumented immigrants in the United States. Among them are many Indians who have worked really hard to build a life there, but now they are facing uncertain future. Donald Trump looking to make a political comeback and has already announced his plan, and that is a large-scale deportation program targeting the undocumented individuals. For thousands of Indians who are living in the shadows, the question is very clear. How can they protect themselves and their families before it's too late? Let me tell you, the United States is home to 11 million undocumented immigrants, and nearly 5 lakh of them are Indians, making this group one of the fastest growing undocumented population in the country. Many are highly educated, working in essential fields like healthcare, IT, or as small business owners. However, their lack of legal status leaves them vulnerable to sudden deportation. During Trump's previous presidency, if you remember, then deportation reached as high as 4 lakh per year. Yes, you heard it right. With the potential return of Trump to the power, stricter measures are expected, putting Indians at even greater risk of being targeted. Now, Trump's immigration plan has sparked deep concern. He has pledged to restrain strict measures like zero-tolerance policy at the border, which aims to speed up the deportation. Advanced technology to locate and remove undocumented individuals has also been proposed, raising fear of increased surveillance. Meanwhile, employers who hire undocumented migrants will face audits and heavy penalties, further restricting work opportunities as well. Now, all these measures, coupled with challenges that Indians are facing with visa backlog and asylum delay, making their situation even worse. Many undocumented Indians are former H-1B visa holders who fell out of legal status because of green card backlog. Others are asylum seekers, particularly here we are talking about Sikhs and Christians who are really religious, who remains in limbo due to slow processing time. Despite these challenges, undocumented Indians can take a step to safeguard their future. Exploring legal pathways is very, very crucial. Now, those who are married to US citizens or lawful permanent residents may qualify for green card even if their visas has been expired. All thanks to provision like Section 245I, which applies to petitions that are filed before April 30, 2001. Meanwhile, asylum remains an option for Indians who are facing threat back home, with many successful cases recorded annually. Strengthening asylum claims with updated evidence and legal representation can also improve approval chances. Now, after all this, let me tell you, there is another lesser-known option, which is U visa. Now, this particular visa, which requires legal status to crime victims who has assisted law enforcement. This visa could be a lifeline for those who are meeting the criteria. Then comes building a strong defense against the deportation, which is another crucial step. Immigrants with legal representation are far more likely to avoid deportation than those without it. Indian organizations like South Asian American Leading Together, SAALT we call it, and another one, the Immigrants Defense Project, provides resources to connect individuals with affordable or even pro bono attorney. Additionally, undocumented Indians should gather documentation to prove their ties to the United States. For example, employment records, tax return, and evidence of community involvement. Now, these records can strengthen their case in immigration court by demonstrating their deep root in the country. Most importantly, staying informed and being prepared is equally important. Many undocumented immigrants are unaware of their basic rights, such as the fact that Immigration and Custom Enforcement (ICE) agents cannot enter a home without a signed warrant. Educating themselves about these rights can actually help protect them during the enforcement action. Now, families should also create emergency plans. For example, designating guardians for children, securing essential legal documents, and setting aside a fund for potential legal costs. These preparations can offer a sense of stability amid the uncertainty. With all this, community support is also very essential in fighting for survival. Indian American advocacy groups like the Hindu American Foundation or the Sikh Coalition actively support the undocumented Indians through legal aid and policy advocacy. Sanctuary cities like New York, Chicago, and San Francisco, which limit cooperation with ICE, offers degree of safety. For those in legal limbo, obtaining an employment authorization document that we also call EAD through pending asylum or visa application can provide a temporary solution to continue working legally. But you know what? The statistics paint a stark picture. The number of undocumented immigrants has grown significantly, from 2 lakh back in 2010 to nearly 5 lakh in 2023. Despite their legal status, these individuals contribute an estimate of $12 billion annually in state and local taxes. Now, this particular thing highlights their economic importance. However, deportation surged by 30% during Trump's first term, directly affecting Indians, those whose visa has been expired, rather than those with criminal records. Well, the road ahead is undoubtedly difficult, specifically with the looming threat of Trump's return to the power. However, hope remains. By taking proactive steps to explore legal options, staying informed, and leaning on community resources, many undocumented immigrants can fight to protect their dreams of a better life in the United States. This isn't just a story of policy or deportation. It's a story of resilience and determination. It is a stark reminder that in the face of adversity, communities can come together to adapt, organize, and fight for their place in the country that they call home. For more such videos, do follow TimesXP.